I had a chef. That was...
Period.
No, that was way too... Do you want to know what she was charging me for 1 month?
How much?
$7,000.
Give a drink.
I know. I'm
Crazy.
like, my contract is $70,000. We cannot be doing... That is more than
That's
my salary.
crazy.
That is more than my salary.
Later omitted from the Bible by church officials. The Gospel of Thomas quotes Jesus as saying, when you make the male and female one and the same, when the male is not male, when the female is not female, then you will enter the kingdom of God.
I'm so sad the judgment clock is in the primary. This is America yet again not recognizing the talent in another qualified black woman.
Good morning, America. How are you? I am Rabbi Dave, and, well, I'm not actually here. Or am I?
Good morning, America. I am Friar Rod, and I am actually here. Or am I?
As we were discussing last week, Cammie and I are actually in Anacortes. I'm not actually here. I'm in Anacortes right now. But, of course, right now is fluid, right?
Yeah, it is.
Sorry. Did I just turn my camera off?
You did. You did.
So weird.
Yeah.
Too much stuff going on.
Well, for a Sunday morning.
Pretty much the story of the world right now is there's just too much going on. So where do we begin? Well, let's begin with the Mark 48 torpedo heard around the world. Do you know this is the first sinking of by a submarine since World War II?
So they were,
of course,
telling us.
If you say that, you're going to get bitch slapped by every submariner in the world who is not an American. Because there have now been, in fact, 4 submarine sinkings of surface vessels since World War II. The Pakistanis, I guess, did it in 1972, 73, somewhere in there. They had one of their little wars with India. Sorry.
I was going to say, the only one that comes to mind is India, but I'm like, okay,
yeah, they were having
searching for
little
something I
wars
thought
with
more
that.
complicated.
Sank a ship with their submarine.
If only they played cricket together.
Yes. And then, in, of course, 1982, the General Belgrano was sunk by the HMS Courageous, which is an interesting thing because the Courageous, when they sank the General Belgrano, which, by the way, was a former United States Navy cruiser called the USS Phoenix, which had actually been at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. That's how old that ship was.
That's dating it there.
So when the British sank it, they actually used 3 World War II torpedoes. They didn't use the modern torpedoes.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And the reason was they weren't sure that the modern torpedoes would actually work. They knew the World War II ones would work because they had been tested, obviously. And so they used the World War II ones.
Well, you use one of the modern ones and then 2 of the old ones.
The problem is then you give away your position. And they weren't convinced. They were not convinced that the new torpedoes would actually were strong enough to actually break the armor belt. So anyway, then a few years ago, and I don't remember when this was, but there was a North Korean midget submarine that sank a South Korean corvette in fairly shallow water. They raised the corvette after that. Nobody really wants to count that one because it's the North Koreans, but, hey, there you go. And then, of course, this one where a United States Navy submarine sinks an Iranian frigate, and this has caused all kinds of...
And unarmed is what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. There's a gun on the ship. It's not unarmed.
What? You know the Twitterverse.
Yeah, well, I know what they're saying, but they weren't carrying any ammunition. Well, in general in warfare, you don't stop to ask somebody, hey, are you carrying any ammunition for that gun?
No, let's let them join the fray, right? Let's let them get all the way back there and join the fray first.
Well, and that's the part I really don't understand. if you're the captain of this Iranian ship, don't you just kind of say, you want me to do what? You want me to sail from Sri Lanka back through the Persian Gulf, through the Straits of Hormuz to home? Now? You want me to do that right? Can you say that again? It's like the scene they cut out of The Empire Strikes Back, where the emperor tells the guy that you're going to blow up the moon, and he's like, you do know we have troops on the moon, right? And the emperor's like, I don't care. Destroy it. It's a lot like that. And instead of saying to himself, in the time-honored tradition of the sea, I shall just misinterpret these orders. Oh, I thought you said go to Thailand. Not my land. My bad.
Yeah.
And off he went. There's actually another Iranian ship that right now, after this, said, you know what, we're just going to stay here.
Yeah.
In Sri Lanka. So they're there. So stop with they were unarmed nonsense, because that is, in fact, nonsense. You as a submarine commander, you have no way of knowing how much ammunition a ship is carrying. You just don't know. So.
Well, you don't take that chance either.
No, and you can't take that chance. Which is what, brings it. Now, look, I am not a torpedo man. I do not know a lot about the ADCAP torpedo. I am qualified on a ship with the Mark 48 torpedo. We did not carry the ADCAPs, as I recall. And I'm familiar enough with it. I know how it works. I know what it's supposed to do, in theory. So modern torpedoes are designed, they don't actually hit the ship. They actually go underneath the ship and detonate underneath the ship. And that creates a pulse that, of course, raises the ship up and breaks its back, which you can see very clearly in the video of the ship sinking. It's towards the stern, detonates, lifts the stern up out of the water, breaks the ship in half, sinks it. But there is something odd to me on that video, and I cannot get anybody to talk about it. Have you watched the video?
Yeah. And as you pointed out, it looks like there's something burning.
There is something on fire on that ship before that torpedo hits. Mm-hmm. Unless it's just some sort of optical illusion, because again, it is a periscope view. I don't know if it's infrared. Do they have recorders on the periscope view? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a long time. I shared somebody the other day was sharing a picture of Mount Fuji. One of my friends was saying, "Oh, Mount Fuji is so cool." So I sent him the periscope picture of Mount Fuji that one of our submarines, I think it was the Trigger, took in 1942. Sitting in Tokyo Bay. Anyway, yeah, we've been doing that for a long time. In fact, the picture of this frigate sinking, where its bow is up in the air and it's sinking backwards, is so reminiscent to a picture that the Wahoo took during World War II of a Japanese destroyer sinking in almost the same position. It's remarkable. But that ship certainly appears to me, again, I'm a ballistic missile fire controlman. I am a submariner, not a tactical weapons guy. It sure to me looks like the damn thing's on fire first. I can't get any answers. I've asked a couple of people that might know, and I've gotten crickets. So it kind of...
That's really weird.
It's very odd to me, and I'm just kind of curious. I want to see what comes of this. Now,
so let me ask you before you move on. So when they shoot a torpedo, do they typically aim for the stern?
Not necessarily, but it's rumored. Again, I do not know. It is rumored that the ADCAP Mark 48 has a sound homing system, so it would naturally move towards the stern of the ship, which is the loudest part of the ship. This is not unusual. It is also the weakest part of a ship. I don't know if you knew that or not. So, yeah, that didn't surprise me at all. In fact, usually when you see one hitting exactly the middle, it's because it's not moving at all. It's just a target ship that's been put out there, and they've said, hey, go hit that. Okay. So, the first combat firing of a Mark 48 torpedo in history, has of course the entire submarine world is going. We're excited, but it does raise a lot of questions, and the fire thing bothers me because again I'm not convinced that I'm getting the entirety of the story, but then why would I? Mm-hmm. We still don't know officially which submarine it was that did it. Now, by the time you listen to this, who knows if we'll know or not. There were initial rumors that it was the USS Minnesota, which I thought would be interesting, given everything that's been in the news for the last few months, that they would use the Minnesota for this. But it may not be the case. It may have, in fact, been the USS Charlotte. Now, how do we know that it's the USS Charlotte, which is a Los Angeles class? That's almost as bothersome to me as everything else, which is that apparently the Charlotte was being used as training boat for what we call AUKUS, Australian, UK, US Submarine Force. It's a submarine deal. I'm not going to go into it here. You can Google it, AUK, KUS, something. AUKUS. Anyway, apparently there were 3 Australian officers aboard, and they could not keep their mouths shut and have been talking all over the world about how they were aboard the Charlotte when they torpedoed this thing. So it's an OPSEC thing. I do not know which submarine it was. Nobody has told me. I've not seen anything confirmed, and I doubt very seriously that we will until it comes back to port and she'll be flying a Jolly Roger or have a broom attached to the mast or whatever. But until then, we won't know. The attack continues against their Navy. We sank I don't know if we sank it or not, but that big drone carrier thing that they built.
Mm-hmm. Blew it up.
It's on fire, I know that, which is, not surprising.
Well, it wasn't originally a naval ship, right?
No, it was a tanker.
Yeah.
That they modified, which is, again, it's ingenious in a way, but if you don't have the assets to protect it, it's not really going to help you much. Mm-mm. But the Iranians tend not to think that way. They don't think in those terms. They think in offensive terms. That we were going to use this to, drone swarm Israel or whatever. Well, it didn't get to do that, so kaboom. That turned out to not be much of a thing. And then I was listening to last week's show, mm-hmm. and I guess I didn't even realize, I didn't catch it at the time, but I said this. Did you catch it when I said whack-a-mole?
No, I didn't.
I was talking about the game Whack-A-Mole.
Yeah.
And I turned it into Whack-A-Mole. Well, that has turned out to actually be a thing. Mm-hmm. Apparently, we are in fact playing Whack-A-Mole. We're just waiting for the next guy to stand up and go, well, I'm in charge. And as soon as we do, 2 hours later, they get fired, so to speak.
Well, what's amazing to me is the total control of the street cameras and their internal cameras that the intelligence services have, to where you can see the explosions of these, hidden hideouts, right? A hidden hideout. Yeah. That's a great phrase. The super secret hidden hideout, where the bombs blow up and you see people running for their lives and then nothing.
Well, it's remarkable the degree of the intelligence that we keep talking about the intelligence. Well, it turns out, of course, today, Israel announced that, I guess maybe it was yesterday, I don't remember. Israel announced that one of the Iranian Republican Guard commanders, Al-Quds commanders, was one of their people, Mossad's people. And this guy's like a brigadier general or something. He's not some schmuck down on the road. He's important. He's been giving orders, and he knew where everybody was. So, and apparently he is now safe in Israel. So everything seems to be, moving okay there. But
safe and in the witness protection program somehow.
Yeah, I would think so. Although I don't know what they're going to do about him at this point. I mean, at this point, if you're Iran, don't you just sort of say, well, we had a good run, but...
Well, except for the fact that that seems the Russians and the Chinese are propping them up.
They have to.
Yeah.
They absolutely have to. And the Russians, of course, the Russians are in this position where they have to because they're getting their oil from them, but they're so drained by what's going on in Ukraine right now. And we're not even hearing anything about that anymore. So they don't really have any means to assist. The Chinese are, the West Taiwanese, are utterly dependent on Iranian oil. Mm-hmm. And now they're not getting it. They're not getting the natural gas. The natural gas is a huge thing, too. And they're not getting that.
This is 4D chess.
It's remarkable what all this stuff. Venezuela, which was, a prop child of China. Now Iran.
Panama
Canal. All these things are adding up, and it's certainly a strategic game that the likes of which Joe, I'm smarter than everybody in the room, Biden, could never have figured out.
And God forbid Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one there. Did you see Joe at the funeral on Friday?
Mm-mm.
So Jesse Jackson's funeral is on Friday, which I did not watch because although I'd met Jesse Jackson during my lifetime, 1988, I just, look, he wasn't coming to my funeral, so
no.
Why would I go to his? So whoever puts this funeral together, when you're sitting there going, okay, we got to have, all these luminaries from the liberal causes. Who do we not want? Who do we not want to put on the stage?
Well, if you're not delusional, you would say, I don't want Joe Biden. But if you're delusional, thinking that, hey, he'll make a good statement, yeah, let's invite Joe.
He can read a teleprompter, right? So somehow or another, for the life of me, I don't know whose idea it was to put him on the stage. More importantly, I don't know whose idea it was to write a speech for him that had him going off the rails about his stutter. Biden apparently has a stutter. And then, after he chastises the audience for laughing at his stutter, then he says, look, I'm on a serious note, if I said I had a cleft palate, you wouldn't think that was funny, but because it's a stutter, you think I'm stupid. Well, and then he says, it's on tape, folks, you can hear it yourself. He says, I'm smarter than most of the people in this room. Now, I was not there, so I don't know, but I'm told that the room went ice cold silent. I'm not sure that that's the case, but that's what I'm told.
There will be video of that online soon.
Oh, I've seen the video. And, you never know background-wise what you're hearing, but the bottom line is, why in God's name would you put this man on the stage? But there you go. I don't know. So it's just one of those things where you look at this going, in the middle of this Iran war, Israel war, Iran-Israel war, and all the issues that are going on here, all the things that we're struggling with on this is what you want in the news? Especially after you have this vote to try to stop Trump from doing this war. You're making hay trying to pretend that you're against this war that 3 years ago, was it 3 years ago? The Congress of the United States commended the brave Iranian protesters. Remember the protests, right?
Yeah.
And condemned the murderous regime. And now all of a sudden they're all for the regime. Because again, it's not what's done, it's who's doing it, and it's Trump doing it. So now we have to pretend that we don't like it. And maybe that was part of the plan. Maybe that was part of the plan for the distraction. If we put Biden on the stage at Jesse Jackson's funeral, he's bound to say something incredibly stupid and borderline offensive, and nobody will pay any attention to the rest of it.
I just want to know, did they invite the first black president, Bill Clinton?
I don't know if they did. I do know that Isaiah Thomas said, I think they did, because he was talking about the 5 presidents that were there: President Clinton, President Biden, President
Obama,
President Harris, and President somebody. I don't remember who the other one he said was, but it was somebody that didn't win. And it was like, wait, no? Anyway, it all makes you wonder about what's going on in the world. It makes you wonder what's happening. And here in Seattle, I'm a little concerned, Rod.
Why is that?
Because our gas prices have gone up. Do you know why our gas prices have gone up?
They're going to say the war in Iran.
That's exactly it. It's the war. The war against Iran has caused gas prices to surge.
What are they at,
in the
Dave?
Great Northwest? Well, they are surging. They're $4.25. Of course, none of the newspapers can be trusted to tell you that we're paying well over $1.30 in state taxes on a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
Which is the highest in the country. It's higher even than California.
Isn't there sales tax tacked onto that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and the Seattle housing market, the area housing market, well, they say Seattle housing market. What they really mean is Pacific Northwest housing market, is drying up. And the reason that the Seattle housing market is drying up, because people are trying to, it's not that the market is drying up, it's that there's a glut on the housing market, so the prices are falling. Do you know why?
Why is that, Dave?
Because of the Iran war.
Oh.
I'm not kidding. The Seattle Times ran an article on Thursday talking about the fact that the Iran war is hurting the Seattle housing market by causing the price. Not a word in there about the millionaire's tax that they passed Friday night, Thursday night. Not a word about that. Not a word about the fact that companies are moving out and going, we don't want to be here anymore because you people are insane. Nope. The Seattle housing market is being glutted by the Iran war.
Well, there you go.
I keep telling you, folks. I keep saying it. Carve it in stone. It's not what's happening. It's who's doing it. If Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Bill Clinton was doing exactly the same things, these same people would be cheering. The only reason they're not is because they hate Donald Trump. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I am Rod.
So speaking of weird stuff happening in the world, you would have thought Jasmine Crockett was running for senator in the state of Texas, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who is known for being a radical Black Lives Matter person and those ridiculous eyebrows or eyelashes or whatever they are.
Yeah.
Black woman running for Senate. Now, it's the Democrat primary. And that was on Tuesday. By the early evening on Tuesday, she and her people were screeching that Republicans were cheating in the primary.
How is that?
Republicans were cheating in the Democrat primary.
So they were switching their party affiliation?
No. Apparently there's some rule that they were enforcing, which is that you have to vote in your precinct. Whoa. And people were showing up not in their precinct to vote for Jasmine Crockett and being told, well, you can't do that here. You got to go to your precinct. Well, I don't know where that is.
It's on your ballot.
Again, I'm not making this up. So she loses, of course, to the whitest, milquetoastiest. This dude, have you ever seen anybody more white bread than this guy? This guy is just, he looks, Well, he looks like he went to a Bible college, which, as it turns out, he did. So, because he's a seminarian. And everybody is celebrating this. Oh, Jasmine Crockett's out. And I actually sent Bill and Rod a text. I said, I don't think this is a good thing. I think it would have been better for Cruz to beat her. It would have sent a better message to the entire country about those insane positions that you had. But instead, we got to face this guy who, for some reason, at that point, almost nobody really knew anything about. But it turns out, Rod, that this guy, he's even more insane than she is.
But he's white, Dave. He's white.
I don't care if he's purple. This is a man who stood in front of an audience and said, he quoted the Gospel of Thomas, saying that, look, it says in the Gospel of Thomas that when you make the male and the female into a single one, so that the male will not be male and the female will not be female, then you will enter the kingdom. And he is clearly pushing a transgender agenda. I mean, this is what he is. This man is absolutely what I would refer to as batshit crazy.
BSC.
But, that said, I am bothered by his theology. Not because I just disagree with it, but there's a certain level, Rod, when someone says, I'm a seminarian, I've been to seminary, I'm ordained, which we are.
We are, yeah. Me twice.
Doesn't that come with a certain level of gravitas, authenticity, meaning?
It should.
It should. When you are sitting in a service on Saturday or Sunday, whenever you happen to go, I'm asking Rod this, but I'm really asking you, the listeners, this. What's your approach to whoever's speaking is saying? Well, are you just listening to what they say and going, amen, 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 give the Lord a praise offering?
No, I mean, one, we don't know the church that he was in, do we? Because I'm guessing it wasn't a fundamentalist.
I do not know it, but it's definitely not a fundamentalist.
Yeah. So, I mean, in our circles, when we would have guest speakers and whatnot, you would listen to what they were saying, and you'd have to base off of what they're saying off of what you know of the Bible. But you have to know the Bible.
But does the average person there really know?
Yeah, well, I mean, if they were going to use some obscure Bible quote from maybe the Old Testament, because the evangelicals, we know things. Old Testament not as good as the New.
But when somebody who's a seminarian says to you, well, in the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus is quoted as saying that you have to be transgender. But, the church leaders suppressed that and took it out of the canon, took it out of the Bible.
Yeah, I'd
What's
say
the average? You and I are going to go, wait.
Let's go back to the original language in that one.
Right. But the average person is going to say what?
I don't know, Dave. I mean, I try to consider myself average, but it just seems to me so way out of left field on this one.
But it's not. This is a guy who is trying to use his authority as a theological. I'm sure that if he were here, he would remind us that he has a master's degree in theology, and that our doctorates, don't weigh the same as his master's or whatever he has. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is he's telling people what they want to hear. He's using a quote from a book that has been utterly rejected.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, let's assume that he does have a doctorate in divinity. I'll just stipulate that. Part of that doctorate in divinity is you would study Gnostic philosophy, wouldn't you? And you would understand what they're actually saying here is not about physical beings.
Do we know what seminary this guy went to? Because that would explain a whole lot.
I don't know where he went, but at this point it doesn't matter because I've been to seminary and I'm telling you, I've heard some pretty crazy stuff in a seminary. And people who actually believe that, it's like, well, where are you getting this from? Where's the logic behind this? I guess what bothers me the most about this, Rod, is the way that he's just throwing that out there. That, well, the Gospel of Thomas says Jesus is quoted as saying transgender is fine. And in fact, if you aren't transgender, you won't get into the kingdom of God. But the church leaders took that out of the Bible. And he just sort of lets that hang as this implication of the reason they took it out of the Bible is because they're covering something up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't it seem that way to anybody else? It can't just be me feeling that way.
He's a heretic.
It's not even heresy. It's intentional misleading of things. It is using a. You're using a look at me, I'm an expert, to get people to listen to something that, in the words of the Apostle Paul, just tickles their ears. It's what they want to hear anyway.
Yeah.
And other people are going to hear this and say, well, I don't know. What if it does say that? What if the church leaders did take this out of the Bible because they didn't like it? Not because it was wrong, not because it uses a Gnostic philosophy, which is antithetical to Christian philosophy, but because they were trying to cover something up. By the way, he went to Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary, which is affiliated with the Presbyterian Church, which explains a lot. He has a BA in government, a master's in education, and a master's of divinity.
Well, boy, that was a path to take, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't think I can say anything about that because, I went from high school to a doctorate in divinity. So I'm a little. That's what bothers me, and this whole thing with Jasmine Crockett. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Jasmine Crockett's loon." This guy is, to me, he is far more dangerous, because he's
a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yes, in many ways. He has enough background in theology that he can convince you that he knows what he's talking about. And I am, again, it's not my particular faith, but this idea of throwing out a quote from the utterly discredited Gospel of Thomas as it portrays what's known as Gnostic theology, Gnostic thinking, which is, look, we don't have time to get into the whole thing. Gnostic thinking is not necessarily wrong, but they're trying to use human examples of their thinking, which have nothing to do with the physical. Everything in Gnostic thinking is about the metaphysical. It's about the spiritual, not the physical. And he's turning that into the physical. Oh, if you have to be not male, not female, then you'll get into the kingdom of God.
Well, be like the angels, man.
Right.
Come on.
And until you're that way, then, and the only reason that's not in your Bible is because the church leaders took it out because they didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Bunch of BS.
Well, I would remind you that when I was in seminary, they came to us at one point and said, we're getting the yearbook ready, and we need your favorite scripture verse.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know how it is when you're at a Christian theology seminary. People are
Sure.
like, oh, all things are possible through God. Jesus
I don't
saves.
know, but yes, go ahead.
I put Galatians 5:12. Look it up. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I am Rod.
And we are starting to drink.
We are on a Sunday morning. Verboten.
What does the Gospel of Thomas say about that?
It says, do unto others as you would... No, that's not it.
I don't think that's in Thomas. I read the Gospel of Thomas. I don't remember.
I've never read it, so I couldn't tell you.
I read it because...
Does it have verse numbers and everything?
It has... They're not verse numbers. What do they call it?
Stanzas.
Stanzas? Is that what it is?
I have no idea.
I don't remember what they call it. It's not verses per se. They have a word for it. When I think about it all.
Okay.
When it comes to my brain, I'll let you know.
You'll just randomly shout it out.
Completely random. It will be utterly sayings. They're sayings.
Sayings.
It's in saying 114. Anyway. So Friday afternoon, I was watching baseball because the World Baseball Classic had started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was watching Mexico and, was it Brazil? I don't know. We played Brazil. I don't remember who Mexico was playing, but it was a good game. Entertaining. And I was just trying to relax because my wife was going to work Friday night. And, just trying to... And Ben, I guess I didn't get the initial part of it. Ben just had a complete and total, utter meltdown.
Why?
To the point where my wife had to come in here and say, can you talk to him? Can you do something? And so I went in there. He was hyperventilating. He couldn't stand still. He was just in an utter panic. That's what I said. What's the problem? It's a good game, but we don't really have anything invested in Mexico or
It's not like it's
Colombia
cricket or
here.
anything.
Yeah, that's right. It's not really important. It's not like a hockey game against Canada or something. Well, it turns out that what had him nervous was the Iran war. What specifically about the Iran war set this off? I have no clue. Earlier in the day, he had been fine. He'd done his homework. We'd gone to PE. He has homeschool PE, so we'd gone to that. We left from that. He was fine. And then right around 4:45, 5 o'clock, this happened. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? But turns out that what's bothering him about this is he doesn't think it's fair that this war is going to affect his life when he had no say in it.
Welcome to taxation.
Well, yeah, it's like, Ben, it's already affecting you. Gas prices are up here. Everything's going to cost more. Everything's going to, because of all this, of course, they're all going to blame Trump. It's going to be politics. It's going to be mad. People are going to be yelling. Of course it's going to affect you. But it's not going to affect you in the sense of Iran is not going to drop a nuclear weapon on you. Sorry, not a nuclear weapon on you. Because they can't. And I don't know. He just was not dealing well with any of this. He was just 60 cycles and hyperventilating, and it was, I don't know. I've seen him anxious before about something that made sense. You know, I've got to go to the dentist. I've got a big test, something along that. But this is like, I don't know how to deal with it. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and 70s.
With the drills under the desk.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The incredible stupidity of that just continues to baffle me. I'm like, who the hell thought that this would work?
It was something. You know, we need to do something. This is something. Let's just do it. Right?
My father, of blessed memory, was sent as the Salvation Army Corps officer to Pueblo, Colorado in 1976. We moved to Pueblo.
Okay.
And the building in Pueblo was a fallout shelter. The basement of this building, this Corps building, CORPS, Salvation Army Corps Unit, was filled with civil defense supplies that had probably been there since the 1950s.
Yeah.
And every now and then he would pop one open and say, "Here, try this."
Oh.
God, it was terrible.
Typical dad, right? That's a typical dad thing. Hey, son, try this.
Right. But it's Pueblo, Colorado, which is kind of off the beaten path of everything that's going to get nuked anyway, right? Yeah. Now here, where we live here, and I didn't discuss this with Ben, again, we're 2.5 miles from the front gate of Bangor Nuclear Submarine Base, about 4 miles from what's known as Strategic Weapons Facility Pacific, which is, a major target. We're close to Seattle. We're close to the Everett Naval Base. We're close to the Kitsap Bremerton Shipyard.
So in short, you're going to glow, Dave. You're going to glow.
We're not going to last long enough to glow. We're going to be vapor.
No. So where I'm at, we're going to have to suffer through a few weeks of fallout before we can possibly get out and do anything.
Well, then my wife says to me as I'm taking her to work that night, she says, don't nuclear weapons, atomic weapons bother you? I said, they never really have. It's just not something that's ever really bothered me. And I started to have to think about that. Why don't they bother me? Is it because I'm a nuclear weapons technician? I basically slept between nuclear weapons for, 4 years of my life. I've never seen them as anything other than more efficient regular weapons.
Yeah.
Instead of having to send 300 B-29s with 12-man crews each, you send one. I mean, it's just a more efficient way of doing it. And I guess part of me is these people always talk about, well, but the after effects and everything else, people live in Hiroshima and Nagasaki with no problems.
Yeah.
They don't do what most people seem to think they're going to do.
No, I mean, and it's really just the epicenter that you would really have to worry about as far as the modern day nuclear stuff. I mean, the destruction would be wider, but the after radiation effects would be really bad concentrated in those areas. And
as we so often point out, there's a certain radius of a nuclear explosion where every frozen pizza is cooked to perfection. Depending on the bomb size is where that radius is.
Okay.
Sorry, it's atomic weapons humor. You got to be there.
That's funny.
I don't know. Maybe I started thinking about that because I don't know what it is that my son's worried about. And I don't want to say to him, look, if a nuclear war starts, you won't know it. You'll be gone before you even...
They're not going to announce anything over the radio to tell you it's coming in.
Well, I don't know. They did in Hawaii a couple of years ago. Remember that? When they sent the alert out. And the guy out on the golf course was like, screw it. I'm going to keep playing. I'm playing through.
Wow. So you have that. Yeah. Well, Dave, so my son has been questioning me. He's 25 and he's about what if and processing and things like that. And well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? And he's draft age, right? So, I mean, he's concerned, and he's like, would we really have like World War III? And so he has been concerned, but not to the point of having a panic attack or anything like that.
Well, and we don't have a draft.
Yeah.
So, and in the immortal words of Tom Lehrer, World War III isn't going to last long enough to have a draft. So.
Well, although my son-in-law Dylan has been teasing him, saying, "You know what? You're up, buddy. What's it matter? You're going to be enlisted, and you're going to be overseas."
Well, there is that. I don't know. I don't know what to tell my son to even calm him down. This is part of that parental failure, I guess. We ended up giving him some hydroxyzine, and he took that and ate a couple pieces of pizza and went to bed. So I guess that's a win. I don't know. At least he's not hyperventilating anymore. But I don't know how to communicate to him that, look, there's a lot of things in life that you don't have control over.
Oh, heck yeah.
And are going to affect you. There are a lot of things in life that are going to affect you even though you do have control over them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not the control you think you do. I don't know. And it just
teach him the Stoics, Dave.
Dude, I can't get him to sit still long enough to learn. I don't know how my wife does it with the homeschooling thing, because he just will not. You can't keep him on topic long enough to teach him about anything. We're driving home the other day, though. On Wednesday, I guess, he had PE that day, too, as we're driving either to or from, I don't remember. He asked me a question about driverless cars, how I feel about driverless cars. And I said, it's not something I would do. I certainly, to me, driving is very cathartic. It's very, I see the car as an extension of myself, not me piloting something. It's hard to explain to you, but there's a very much a Zen feeling to me for driving. And then I said, of course, you will never actually learn to drive. You'll learn to steer. But you'll never drive a stick because they don't make them anymore. You'll never experience those things. And so for me, I don't know that I would ever drive. I don't know that I would ever buy a driverless car. And I don't know that I'd want to ride in one because I get car sick when I'm not driving. But I don't begrudge the people who do. I said to him,
yeah.
If you decide that that's the way you want to live your life, well, when I was a kid, we used to watch the Jetsons, and they didn't have just self-driving cars; they had self-driving flying cars. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I said to him. It's the natural progression of things. I think it's an inevitable technology.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, that wasn't the answer I was expecting from you." Well, what were you expecting me to say? He was like, "Oh, I expected you to rant and rave about it." Why would you expect that? Mm-hmm. Just what I was thinking. And I said, well, there's a lot of things you don't know about me. A lot of things that you don't want to take the time to learn. You don't want to sit down and have these conversations with me because he is a talker. You cannot stay on subject. I mean, he is just, you can't really have a conversation with him because
he's not listening. He's just trying to talk.
He's got so much stuff in his head that he has to get it out. And I said to him, that's why I do these podcasts, because someday I'm not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to want to know what I thought about everything. And you're going to have all these podcasts going back now 20 years, more than 20 years. Well, no, I guess it is 20 years, 2006. You're going to have all these podcasts going back of things that I'm going to tell you what I think about them. And some of them you're not going to like. Some of them you're going to disagree with. Some of them you will see. But I think what you'll see overall is that, generally speaking, I'm not a rant and rave kind of guy. I was a little bit in the early days of radio because they told me to be. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to keep my job. But as you get a hold of things, you start to learn these things. And I think you're going to find that I'm not, angry. I'm just... I prefer to think things through a little bit more. And he was like, well, yeah. He said, so I guess someday I'll have to start listening to those.
Yeah.
I said, well, you can start this week. But
I'll have to listen to Complaints with Dad. Yeah.
yes, Complaints with Dad. I think he's actually heard that one. It was, it's just an interesting, I don't know. I try not to talk specifically about my son because in the most personal senses, because I know it would embarrass him. And so, Ben, if you are listening to this someday, I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm trying to tell you that I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say to you to say, you don't need to worry about this. Mm-hmm. It's not, I can tell you the technical details. I can tell you that Iran doesn't have the missiles to hit us. They don't have the weapons to hit us. At best, what do they got? 60% enrichment. You need 90% enrichment to make an atomic weapon. They're not there. We have degraded their military ability to respond. And, you know, from a Jewish perspective, we got Israeli airplanes flying over Tehran tonight, Friday night, yelling Shabbat Shalom. So I'm not worried about it on a military standpoint. Is there going to be discomfort? Is there going to be instability? Is there going to be something more? Possibly. But I got a feeling that if Donald Trump gets what he wants out of this whole thing, the whole world is going to be reset, and we're going to be headed back to very much a golden age. But of course, half this country will explain to us over and over again that it doesn't matter because Donald Trump did it, so therefore, you know, it's bad because
he's a Nazi.
He's a pedophile. He's a Nazi.
There's that too.
All those kind of things. So I don't know. Anyway, kind of bothered me.
A classic opening, but let's see. But every classic has a twist. A twist of fate. Fate is what we make of it. Then let's make it interesting. Very well. Your move, mortal. Care to wager your soul?
Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And just in case you think the world doesn't have enough stupid people in it.
Oh, no.
No, seriously. Did you... we are not big fans here of the WNBA for a lot of reasons.
No.
But did you see this interview with this person? I don't even know who this gal is. But apparently she's a big WNBA star.
Okay.
Who hired a chef for her and her husband. A chef.
Ugh.
Do you know how much the chef cost her?
No, I don't, Dave.
$7,000 per month.
So that's a good $84,000 a year?
Do you know how much money she makes playing basketball?
I do not.
$70,000 a year.
Wow, she should be in government, really.
Well, and see, that's the reaction that most people were giving. This person, what is she, retarded? Is she just stupid? What's, you know? Now, she mentions in the commentary that she and her husband, who apparently makes a lot more money than she does, as some sort of techno guru guy. So the way I interpret that is her husband was paying for a chef.
Mm-hmm.
But still, $7,000 a month. That's insane. And apparently the chef was shopping at a real expensive store.
Of course.
Instead of the Piggly Wiggly and that kind of stuff. But it's pretty typical of the WNBA, I guess, though, right?
Well, she didn't hire some McDonald's, grill worker there to
I don't understand that at all. That's what drives me nuts about these shows. All these chef shows, Master Chef, Junior Master Chef. Stop making flipper duck's feet in jellied reindeer sauce. Make me a goddamn hamburger. You want to impress me? Make a grilled cheese that actually tastes really good. Right? Yeah. Make something my kids are going to eat, not all this crap that they make. It's like, And you know, I've been to fancy restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worth the money.
No.
The experience, that's what people used to tell me. Dave, it's an experience. And okay, I
So
guess.
is Mongolian barbecue.
Yes, and I'd rather go to the Mongolian barbecue. I don't get it. But why would you pay $7,000 a month for a chef for 2 people? Are you throwing parties every night? Or you? Jeez. But it's the WNBA, so why are we surprised?
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, this is the same WNBA that is it Angel Reese. There's 2 players that everybody knows, Angel Reese and Caitlin, whatever her name is. Those are the only 2 people that anybody knows. So I guess Angel Reese announced that she is on strike or she's not going to play.
Yeah.
She's holding out for more money. So good luck with that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll miss you. Or more precisely, we won't miss you.
I won't notice she's gone because I don't watch.
You care, right? It's like, okay, who cares? But apparently she's convinced that this is going to bring everybody to their knees. And we'll all be lined up to watch the WNBA when she gets her $1 million in contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bill will be there, but
that guy,
the rest of us will not, because we're not insane.
No.
And on that note, I am Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And we're glad you're with us today, even though we're not actually here. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. This has been
What the Frock?
So grab your frog and come aboard. This nonsense can't be ignored. We joke, we gripe, we spin, we sing. While Rome burns on, we'll do our thing. What the frock is going on here? We may not know, but still we cheer. Raise your voice, your glass, your brow, because the frock is happening now.